Something big is quietly happening in Durham right now, and if you're a Duke fan, you should be paying very close attention. I'm Victor, and here on Duke Basketball Update, we're breaking down another huge day for the Blue Devils, because Jon Scheyer continues to prove why Duke remains one of the premier destinations in college basketball. Today's headlines aren't just about the next recruiting cycle, they're about the long-term future of the program. We'll take a closer look at Duke's latest recruiting moves after the coaching staff extended offers to several elite prospects across the 2027 and 2028 classes, showing that the Blue Devils are already building toward the next generation of championship contenders. We'll also dive into the latest buzz surrounding one familiar basketball family, as Duke reportedly intensifies its pursuit of Kager Neupel, the younger brother of former Blue Devils star Kahn Neupel, in what could become one of the most fascinating recruitments to follow over the next year. These developments may not affect tomorrow's lineup, but they could have a massive impact on where Duke basketball is headed over the next several seasons. If you enjoy staying ahead of every recruiting update and everything happening around the Blue Devils, make sure to subscribe to Duke Basketball Update, turn on notifications, and leave a like so you never miss our latest coverage. Let's get straight into today's Duke basketball news. One of the biggest reasons Duke has remained at the top of college basketball isn't just what happens on the court, it's what happens long before these players ever put on a Blue Devils jersey. And once again, Jon Scheyer is proving that recruiting is one of the greatest strengths of this program. After securing the nation's #1 recruiting class in each of the last 3 years, Scheyer and his staff aren't slowing down. Instead, they spent the weekend expanding Duke's reach by extending offers to several elite prospects across both the 2027 and 2028 recruiting classes, making it clear that the Blue Devils are already thinking several years ahead. The newest name to receive an offer in the 2027 class is 5-star combo guard Adon Diggs, one of the most explosive young backcourt prospects in the country. Standing 6'5" and ranked as the #2 overall player, the #1 combo guard, and Arizona's top prospect according to the 247 Sports Composite rankings, Diggs has quickly become one of the hottest recruits in the nation. Duke now joins an impressive list of programs pursuing him, including Kentucky, North Carolina, Alabama, Arizona, and BYU. What's encouraging for Duke fans is that Diggs now becomes part of a growing group of elite 2027 prospects already on Scheyer's radar. The Blue Devils have also extended offers to 5-star guard Beckham Black and 4-star forward Kager Neupel, demonstrating that the coaching staff is carefully identifying cornerstone players rather than simply offering every highly ranked recruit available. The attention didn't stop with the 2027 class. Duke also officially offered Colton Hiller, one of the premier forwards in the 2028 cycle. The 6'6" Pennsylvania native is currently ranked as the #2 overall player in his class, the #2 small forward nationally, and already has offers from programs like North Carolina, Kansas, Virginia, and UConn. Hiller is already familiar with Duke as well, having attended the Blue Devils' victory over Michigan in Washington, D.C., and previously mentioned that Duke had been one of the schools communicating with him the most during the early stages of his recruitment. Another major name to keep an eye on is A.J. Williams, who currently sits at #1 overall in the entire 2028 recruiting class. The 6'8" forward from Georgia has already visited Durham and continues to attract attention from nearly every national powerhouse, including recent offers from Kansas and North Carolina. Duke's continued involvement with Williams shows just how serious Scheyer is about pursuing the very best talent available, regardless of how early the recruiting process may be. For Blue Devils fans, this is exactly the kind of news you want to see during the offseason. Recruiting momentum doesn't happen overnight. It comes from building relationships years in advance, staying consistently involved with elite prospects, and positioning the program to compete with every blue blood school in America when decision time eventually arrives. More importantly, these early offers reinforce something we've seen repeatedly since Jon Scheyer became head coach. Duke isn't simply reacting to roster turnover each offseason. The staff is constantly planning ahead, making sure there's another wave of elite talent ready to keep the program competing for ACC championships, Final Fours, and national titles. However, that's not the only major development surrounding Duke right now. Another story is starting to generate serious buzz among Blue Devils fans, and this one involves a familiar family name that could have a huge impact on Duke's future. Now let's talk about a recruiting story that has Blue Devils fans paying especially close attention because it involves a familiar last name that already means a lot in Durham. According to reports, Duke has intensified its recruitment of Kager Knuppel, the younger brother of former Blue Devils standout Con Knuppel. Insider Adam Zagoria reported that Duke associate head coach Chris Carrawell was in attendance to personally evaluate Kager, a clear indication that the coaching staff is making him a priority as the 2027 recruiting cycle continues to unfold. That kind of in-person evaluation matters. It shows Duke isn't simply keeping tabs on another highly ranked prospect. It demonstrates that the staff is investing time and resources into building a genuine relationship. Under Jon Scheyer, that's become one of the defining characteristics of Duke recruiting. The Blue Devils consistently identify elite talent early and stay heavily involved throughout the process. At the same time, Kager has made it clear that his recruitment remains completely open. Despite Duke's strong interest, he publicly stated that he intends to explore multiple schools, mentioning that Michigan and Purdue are also firmly in the mix. His message was simple: this is his own journey, and he wants to evaluate every opportunity before making such an important decision. That response probably isn't surprising to most Duke fans. Elite recruits rarely rush into commitments, especially when they're among the very best players in the country. What matters is that Duke has successfully positioned itself as one of the schools Kager continues to seriously consider. The comparisons to his older brother are inevitable, but Kager has already begun separating himself. Standing at 6'10", he describes himself as longer, taller, and capable of impacting games defensively with shot blocking, while also stretching the floor with his shooting ability. Rather than trying to become another version of Con, he's embracing his own identity as a player. Of course, Conon's success certainly doesn't hurt Duke's chances. Blue Devils fans remember the tremendous impact he made before leaving for the NBA, and his professional career couldn't have started much better. After being selected 4th overall by the Charlotte Hornets in the 2025 NBA Draft, he put together an outstanding rookie season, averaging 18.5 points per game while setting the NBA rookie record for made three-pointers with 273. Although his former Duke teammate Cooper Flagg earned Rookie of the Year honors, Conon finished second in the voting and immediately established himself as one of the league's brightest young stars. That kind of player development becomes a powerful recruiting tool. When prospects visit Durham, they don't just hear about Duke's tradition, they see recent examples of players thriving under Jon Scheyer before making a successful transition to the NBA. Conon's journey reinforces that message in a very tangible way. Whether Kager ultimately chooses Duke remains far from certain, and nothing in this recruitment suggests a decision is imminent. But what this story does show is that the Blue Devils continue to aggressively pursue elite talent while building meaningful relationships with some of the country's top prospects. That's exactly how championship programs sustain success year after year. When you step back and connect today's stories, a very clear picture begins to emerge. Duke isn't simply celebrating the success of its current roster or focusing on the next recruiting class. Jon Scheyer and his staff are constantly working several years into the future, identifying elite prospects early, strengthening relationships, and making sure the Blue Devils remain one of college basketball's premier destinations. Whether it's extending new offers to highly ranked recruits across the 2027 and 2028 classes, or making Kager Knuppel a priority target, every move reflects the same long-term vision, keeping Duke in position to compete for ACC championships, Final Fours, and national titles for years to come. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of today's stories caught your attention the most? Do you think Duke's newest recruiting offers are the biggest development, or is the pursuit of Kager Knuppel the storyline you're watching most closely? And do you agree with the direction Jon Scheyer is taking as he continues building the future of Duke basketball? If you enjoyed today's update, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to Duke Basketball Update, and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest Blue Devils news. Thanks so much for watching, I truly appreciate your support, and I'll see you in the next video. Go Duke!